an odd way to start an episode for me. My guest is not sitting next to me right now, but that's because when we started talking, the conversation just rolled. So we just kept going. So, on today's episode of Lounge Chair Legends, I'm your host, Eric James. My guest is a friend of mine. He is a mentor. He's a successful entrepreneur. He's a veteran, and he's just an interesting dude. So, his name is John Guedes, and we're just going to get into it. Ain't that a bitch?
No, it's all good. No, it's natural. It's all good. I thought we were just talking. I mean, just to continue your thought a little bit, it's just to be clear. I mean, I think Trump has good ideas. I really, really do. I think some of them are a little bit left, but I think any president probably has a mixed bag, right, of good and crazy ideas. I just think I think his entire approach to how he thinks he can execute him, if that were to change a little bit and where he'd be a little bit more sophisticated, as sophisticated as he thinks he is, right? Then I think he could be much more effective. I think he could be an amazing president if he just changed some stuff around, like being a little bit more compassionate, using a little bit more common sense, maybe not surrounding himself with individuals that are just, I think, probably clinically insane. We just haven't been diagnosed yet. Like a
lot of them, yeah.
Marjorie, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's insane. Like that kind of behavior is batshit crazy. You go to jail if you go outside your street and do that stuff.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
You'd end up in jail.
Yeah, a lot of it. I mean, a lot of it. I mean, but again, that's on both sides. There's
there is, yeah, exactly. There's extreme. I 100% agree. And that's why I've said, like, we could find someone that's in the middle. If we had better choices for presidents.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna write you in.
No, I can't. I can't. I wasn't born in this country.
Oh,
yeah. I was naturalized.
Where were you born? Because I know you speak Portuguese, right?
Portugal. Yeah.
Oh, you were born in Portugal?
Yeah,
okay, I didn't know if it was like Brazil or Portugal. But I knew...
my mom and dad are Portuguese. Yeah. Born and raised in Portugal, and came over back and forth, schooling a little bit of both sides, but for the most part, yeah.
Cool. And I learned that when we had the Bad Beard shirts made from the gentleman that you knew that printed them.
Yeah.
Because
I haven't seen him in a while. Yeah.
Well, I only saw him the 2 times that we picked up shirts from him, but you were the go-between.
The translator.
You were the translator, yeah, because he spoke Portuguese. And when you sat down, started talking to him, because, like, Portuguese is like, to me, because I don't speak it, sounds like a blend of, like, French, Spanish, and Italian. Kind of like if you put them all, like some things, like more Spanish, like some of it matches up. But,
I think all Latin-based languages have a lot of similarities because they're all Latin-based. If you were to take someone from Spain and listen to that Spanish, and listen to someone from Portugal, not Brazil, and not like Puerto Rico or Honduras or something like that, and just pure Spanish and pure Portuguese, they both sound incredibly similar. Like, to the point where you can understand each other for the most part, 80% all the way across the board. But it's when you get into like Hispanic countries, like Central America, South America, etc. That's when the dialect changes. It's very similar to the U.S., where you take someone, let's say, from Vermont and you bring them to Louisiana, and they're both speaking English, but
not really.
Someone's gonna pause along the way. Like, I'm sorry, can you say that again slowly?
Yeah.
And depending on how much you're surrounded by trees, that dialect can get really deep really fast, to the point where, like, what are you saying? We work with a cook. She's from Georgia, and she moved back to Georgia recently. But her name was Paula. Wonderful, beautiful lady, and she was feisty as hell, and she has deep Southern Georgia accent. And when she would complain, I know she was speaking English, but I didn't understand 30% of the words she was saying. I said, "Can you just break that down for me, Paula?" It was just so. It's very similar. It's very similar.
It is very similar, yeah. Because that's hell. We're a bunch of different countries.
We are.
We really are.
We are.
Because Florida is starkly different than like Washington State. You know what I mean? And it's just, I know I say that because it's 2, opposing corners of the country. But just every state. I mean, like, some states like Midwest, you have like Detroit, Philly, New York. They're kind of the same people.
Yeah, they are.
They're still very like individually they're very different.
Yeah.
but they kind of fit the same. And a lot of Southern is kind of the same. Florida's its own thing.
It is. We're not like we're in the South, but we're not Southern.
Yeah,
like
no. You get a lot of y'alls, and you get some, how you guys doing today, but it's not.
So Kentucky,
South.
like my wife and I joke about this all the time. So we go to Kentucky, which is quite north of here, right? It's borderline. They say it's in the South, but if you look on a map, it's not very south, right?
Yeah.
North of Tennessee, where it's always been, and and you compare the southern draw there, which is pretty deep, to anyone in Florida. It's like, Jesus, like absolutely not. But then there are people in Florida that have this crazy southern draw, which I automatically think you're not from Florida, right? Because Florida has all the escapees from all the other states, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like Alaska. Everyone's running away. Either you're a convict or you're an Inuit in Alaska. I lived in Alaska. So either you're escaping or running from something, or you lived there all your life and you're an Eskimo, right? For all intents and purposes, right? But Florida's a lot like that. So
I'm the only Floridian in my family. They're all from up north.
Yeah, well, so, you were born. You were born here.
I'm born here. Yeah. I was born right across the river. I was born in Sanford.
Yeah.
So
most people, I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm thinking a major chunk of Floridians are not Floridians.
Oh, the vast majority of Floridians.
They all have condos. They come condos.
Yeah, they're not Floridians. So we are this weird like amalgamation of the rest of the country,
which is great, right?
Which I love.
Which I think is great.
Yeah, which I do love. And then like California, because we went to California for our anniversary not very long ago, and it was
what part?
We went to San Francisco.
Okay, nice.
And then we road tripped up to Fort Bragg, like to North Carolina, because we went to the Glass Beach and stuff. She got a bunch of stuff from the Glass Beach, and then we drove back down the PCH to go back to San Francisco.
Okay. That's a great ride.
Oh yeah, it was beautiful. She was freaking out because we were on the side of the cliff the whole time. So
did you hit Oregon at all? Did you?
No, we didn't go that far. Yeah. And we were only there for like 4 days, but we crammed in everything you could cram in 4 days.
California is a beautiful state. I live there. It's one of my favorite states.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
And going to San Francisco, like one night, I made it a point to drive around because before we left, one of her family friends was like, you guys going to San Francisco? You're going to see all these drugs on the ground. It's like the worst of what people tell you it is. And it's no worse than downtown Orlando.
Yeah.
Now there's spots that, you could just look down the road and go, mm-mm. But that's the Paramore in Orlando, that whole section of it. Mm-mm. And I work in Orlando, so I will go the long way to go around some of those spots. And I've been here my whole life.
Yeah. California has some interesting cities. When I first went into the Navy, I had to go out there for my secondary schooling, and I was in Port Hueneme, California, and it was the first weekend, and a few of us wanted to go into Los Angeles. We'd never been. I just moved out to California for the first time. I was there maybe a week, and they would just say, "Be careful what exit you take." Several exits coming off the highway into Los Angeles. Be careful what exit you take. And I don't know how to even interpret that because they didn't tell me what exit not to take or what exit to take. So, we took the first exit we could. So I remember my brand new, I just graduated OCS Mustang and 3 of my friends, and we hit the first red light coming off the off ramp on the highway. We're in Los Angeles now. All right. No joke. I'm not even exaggerating. On my right, I'll never forget this. On my right, definitely prostitutes, right? Like
they're wearing the uniform.
They definitely fit. On the left side, definitely a drug deal going on, right? There's a homeless guy coming over with a squeegee and I guess maybe some spit to clean my windshield eventually across the board. And there was a fight on the other corner, and then there was a helicopter up above. We never went into LA. We made a U-turn, went onto the first on-ramp, and went back. I was like, fuck this. This is, like, not cool.
It's what you see in the movies.
4 movies in one shot. This is insane. I couldn't make that up. I'll never forget. I tell that story to anyone that will listen. I was like, so now I know what they mean by be careful what exit you take. I mean, they really mean be careful what exit you take. So we eventually went back during the day. This was towards the evening, but a week later we took a chance and took a different exit, and eventually we went on Rodeo Drive and what's that main strip, Sunset Strip, which at the time was crazy. Tons of prostitutes. It was like crazy, like where the Walk of Fame
Yeah, in front of the Chinese theater or whatever.
Yeah, that whole area was like crazy criminalized. It was insane. Like what we saw on TV was nowhere near what was going on there. People were getting busted, pulled over. There was a prostitute. It was like insane. People walking up and down the street. It was crazy entertaining to watch. But I don't know if it's improved since. But yeah, it's been great.
I mean, we didn't go to L.A., but from everything I have heard, L.A. because my parents went to L.A. not that long ago. I think I don't remember where they were going, but they stopped in L.A. for 2 days. I think we were going to Australia, and they stopped there just kind of let the time catch up to them because that's another massive jump to go to Australia. And when they were there, my dad said that's the only time they've ever been somewhere and like not left the hotel.
Really?
And my dad's like normally like he likes to go into
crazy.
shit. You know
I'm not surprised.
Like he likes to to experience. He was like nah. Too old. It just went back into the hotel.
Yeah.
And it's just they're in a spot by the airport that just
it's a unique city, man.
Yeah, and they're like where you're talking about now, like the Hollywood, whatever that Sunset Strip area is. There's still shit that goes on there all the time, but it's like the one spot that they have like cleaned up for the tourists because that's where everybody goes.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where Spider-Man is, and all the impersonators and whatnot. But the minute you walk around the corners. You could just like you're no longer on where all the cameras and stuff.
Yeah, that was my experience. Those were my two experiences. I never went back to LA after that. I was went to like Santa Barbara, like just north of LA.
Our entire experience in San Francisco was great. Like we had a really good time.
Yeah, San Francisco is really nice. Yeah.
But that being said, it's wild how much colder it is in the bay. Then as soon as you get on either side of the bay, it warms up 15 degrees. Like it's crazy,
Yeah.
And then one morning we went to walk across the Golden Gate Bridge, and it looked like it had been raining just from the fog that like from it just the dew or whatever. It looked like rain, and we were walking across the bridge, and there was still fog, so you don't really realize how high up you are until you look down and you see a pelican.
Yeah.
That is a dot, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. It's a beautiful state. You can do everything and anything.
Yeah. Well, when we went up, like when we drove up, because she brought her drone, so we pulled over, like in wine country. She got a bunch of like footage of flying through.
That's cool.
The grapes were growing because our anniversary is at the end of October.
Oh wow.
So like we get pulled over there. We pulled over in a spot that looked like a scene out of Red Dead Redemption where there was two vultures on a dead tree over this like empty creek that had an old railroad next to it on the side of the mountain where we just pulled off on this little turn spot. It wasn't like a tourist spot. I just found somewhere to pull off, and she fired a drone off.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we had a really good time. She got footage. She drove it, but she flew it out around where we went to Fort Bragg. Flew it out because there was this one big rock that was out there, and she flew it out around that. Got the waves crashing up on it. She got stuff of us standing on top of the cliffs with it going out.
It's a gorgeous state. The whole Northwest, if people haven't been, should definitely go. It is an amazing part of the country. Gorgeous. I mean, you have not seen a tree until you've driven through the redwood forest or gone up to Oregon. Holy Mother of God! What we have in Florida is nothing.
Nothing.
That's a twig. That's like a twig compared to these trees.
I mean, we have big pines, but it's nothing like that. Because we took a steam train up into the redwood, and it's like there's one spot that's like famous pictures are taken from it, where you stand in the middle, and it's all of these redwoods are grown, and the mother it was cut down in the middle because they're all one big tree. So it's like this mother's this big flat table, and it's all these trees, and the picture is straight up from the mother. It's all of the redwoods come together in this like perfect circular point. And so we took the steam train up there, which is really cool. We like got to take it up and come on, hang out, walk around, take a bunch of pictures, go up there. Being up there, I had two very stark realizations. I know why people think Bigfoot exists, because all you need to see is a bear on its hind legs, because you're only going to see it for a split second, and that's Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And B, I know why serial killers get away with that shit. There's nothing. There is nothing for no service. Like the only good thing is my phone. You're not making a phone call. You're not getting on the internet, but my GPS never cut off.
Yeah.
So I would never have loaded it back up, but I had kept it on the whole time. So I was able to find, because it didn't cut off, but it would have never reconnected,
The northern part of PCH is probably the most beautiful part, but yeah, more desolate. Yeah.
Well, we didn't even go that high.
Yeah.
We went I don't know how high up Fort Bragg is.
Yeah.
It's 4 hours north of, I think it was like 4.5 hours north of San Francisco.
2/3 of the way up, probably.
Yeah. Because California is huge. You
Yeah, it
know,
is. It's very long. Yeah,
yeah, and that's so like Florida and California. I think are two very like deceptively large states when you look at them on the map.
If you have to drive them.
Once you're in them, you're like, because if you go from one end of the Panhandle all the way down to Miami, you're in the car for, I mean, that's a 12-hour drive.
Yeah,
That's a long.
It is a long
drive.
drive. Yeah. Florida definitely.
I mean, granted, that you're dealing with a lot of traffic too, whereas California, there's a lot of just nothing, and you're driving through it.
Yeah.
But there's, you hit the cities, everybody. You hit everybody. That's. I was talking because we have a friend of ours. He lives in Australia, and I was talking to him the other day. More people live in California, the state of California, live in the entirety of the continent of Australia, New Zealand, like all of that. More people live in California than live there.
Australia is probably one of the extremes for this, but have you ever seen these satellite maps that are taken at night that depict when like street lights are on?
Oh yeah.
And you look at Australia, I think there's two lit up dots.
Yeah, it's like Melbourne and Brisbane or something.
It's like and it's like dark, like pitch black in the middle.
Yeah.
Maybe
the Badlands is a long stretch where there's just nothing.
I wouldn't want. Yeah, everything is trying to kill you in Australia. I've never been, but
we live in Florida. Cause I said that to Sean, our buddy, and the funny thing is Sean is a strong man, and he competes in like the Highland Games and stuff, and he's also a fireman. So he's this massive, like 280-pound, covered in tattooed Kiwi. And like when my dad up in the hospital last time Sean was here to visit, and then like stark contrast, Sean was making sure that he had all of his fluids. He's talking to the nurse, running numbers with the nurse. He's tucking my dad's feet in very gently, making sure he's like, comfortable, Jim? But at the same time, he was talking to me about doing the caber toss because he throws the large caber, and he got like first place or whatever.
That's a telephone pole thing.
And he throws the big one. Because there's three different sizes. There's like the woman's size, the men's, they call it lightweight, and then the regular, the regular men.
Yeah.
And he got first place that time. He just got second place. And it was something like 18 yards or something.
Crazy.
And the pole's like 300 pounds.
Yeah, that's insane.
I was like, so you mean to tell me you could throw a grown man like 18 yards? He goes, oh, mate, it's easier to throw a man.
Oh, my God.
Because you got to balance the pole.
That's insane.
You just grab a man. Like, holy shit. I was talking to him. I forgot I was going with that.
Florida killing. Everything's trying to kill
killing things. Because we were talking about when he came, he wanted to do swamp shit, quote unquote, and because he wanted to see an alligator.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh? Like, don't you live
where
crocodiles exist in puddles? And he's like, no, it's not really like that. It is when you go out into the outback.
Yeah.
And you'll find big salties, but mostly where people live in Australia, it's really not like that. Like there are like kangaroos have taken over. Kangaroos are just everywhere. Like they had a war with kangaroos and emus and lost. But what you think of the other stuff, they have the most amount of deadly snakes, the most amount of deadly spiders. But again, they all live in the outback.
Yeah.
They find their way into like the outskirt cities and stuff, but it's really not like that. And he's like, you guys, you have bears. You have cougars, you have pigs, you have snakes, you have spiders, you have sharks, you have alligators, you have all of this shit, plus you have cats. Like, it's like you guys have everything that will kill you. Why are you afraid of Australia? So like when he laid it out, I was like, I guess we're the Australia of America.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
Because we're the weird like outlier of the rest of the country as far as the way that our like
I guess.
Habitat. And when I say habitat, I don't mean physical or like I don't mean the ecosystem. I mean people. Just the way that the people are. We're like, like we were just saying, we're not the South. We're not Northern. You know what I mean? So like we're this own little offshoot thing.
I still would want to put up a stat per capita. How many deaths by snake bite and spider bites, Australia versus Florida? I still would put my money on Australia.
Production.
only like some of the stuff I've seen in Australia is no joke, right? Like,
well, I mean, they have boom slangs. They have like
it's crazy stuff.
The most deadly snakes live there.
I was still per capita though. Obviously, population wise, we probably blow away probably like 10 times the population in Florida that exists in the country. How many people live in Australia? Not compared to Florida.
Probably quite a bit more because they have the same. There's just slightly less than California, and California has the most amount of people.
Okay, all right. So per capita. So if you went per capita, how many deaths per capita?
Is it?
Florida has 0 to 0.01% annually death by venomous snake bites. Australia has 0.03.
So they're more deadly in Australia?
By 0.02%.
So technically 3 times deadlier then, right?
Oh, yeah. I guess,
Technically,
yeah.
he is right.
3 times deadlier.
I don't do math.
See, Sean?
3 times deadlier.
I called him the other day because we went to the zoo because we just had a day. I was like, let's go do something. So we went to the zoo and we were looking at the alligators. And I have a video on my phone of me as close to an alligator as I am to you. She's just chilling on the edge of the bank, and I just walked up to her. And I'm talking to the alligator. Like you turn around and show him how close I am to the road to the alligator, and then it just got up and ran away from me. So I sent that to Sean. But we're looking at the alligators in the zoo, and I thought about it. So I called Sean. I was like, hey, like, first of all, I'm sorry because I know it's nighttime because it was like 3 PM here. So it was like, but he's a fireman, so he's up all night anyway. But I was like, do you guys go to the zoo to look at kangaroos? And he's like, no.
They're everywhere.
It's like they're everywhere.
Yeah.
They've been on my porch. Like, no.
They don't eat them, right? Was it McDonald's? I think McDonald's back in the 70s or 80s got in trouble because I think they were trying to use kangaroo meat.
I don't know. They might.
And they were marketing it as beef, I think. I could be wrong about this. But there was a company that was processing kangaroo meat. So I'm not sure if it's good eating.
I mean, it might not be one of those because, like, here you can get there's restaurants that serve like bison, things that you normally can't
Bison,
get.
emu, and
Things like that. So maybe it might be one of those things, but it might not be like you go to Outback. I was gonna say Outback. It might not be you just go to like your regular run-of-the-mill restaurant and get it, but I don't know.
You put anything through a grinder, it's gonna look pretty close to the same thing. So
sausage
you
is sausage.
You mix it with pig, pork.
Okay, so no to the McDonald's, but apparently there are Australian meat emporiums where you can get kangaroo meat.
There you go.
I mean, it doesn't because like America, we're one of the few places that it's illegal to eat a horse. Like Canada, they eat horse. A bunch of places eat horse. We're one of the few places that we don't eat horse.
Yeah, I couldn't eat them.
It feels weird because we have this like bond with horses, and we
Like
have
anything that can
since America's
looks
been-
at you. Yeah, I couldn't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But cows look at you. You ever looked at a cow?
No.
Yeah, see, cows look at you the same way a horse does.
Do they really?
Oh yeah, they really do. A cow will walk up and ask for hugs. Like cows they're caring, heartfelt animals, and we still eat them. But we have this weird thing with horses because like we've broken horses, we've used them to help build the West. Like they're a big part of Americana.
But we've done that with cows, bulls, right?
But we haven't. We've used them for livestock, not for work. In a sense, like we've used bulls to, and even then, it's more like oxen that we've used to like till things.
Ox. Yeah. Well, growing up in Portugal, I remember tilling the soil with ox with an old time till, believe it or not, which is probably still used today in many countries. Yeah, I used. It wasn't cows, but it was ox. Definitely ox.
I think oxen pull more than like I think they're stronger than cows. I don't know.
I did whatever my grandmother told me to do, so that's what I did. But
because I know they use yaks in like Mongolia, and a yak.
Yeah, I've seen pictures.
Yak's like a kind of like an ox with dreads.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the cow thing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm not.
It is weird. It's a good point. I don't know.
And it's because I do know that a lot of places eat horse meat, and it's funny because I learned that from being a UFC fan. Alistair Overeem is he's a K1 kickboxing champ, came to the UFC, but he's Dutch, and his testosterone levels, he's like the king of doing steroids. Basically, he's like when they were still allowed to do steroids, they called him Ubereem because he had muscles on the side of his head for some fucking reason, and he said his testosterone levels were elevated because he was eating horse meat. But all the Canadians, like George St. Pierre, were like we eat horse meat, we're fine. We don't have muscles on our foreheads. What do you mean? So that was like, oh, these other, a bunch of other countries, they don't mind. But and then same thing if you go to India, they don't even move cows out of the road because they're sacred.
They're sacred. Yeah, they're sacred.
They'll eat everything else though.
They will eat everything else.
So it's just a culture thing, like for us.
It is, right? It's more of a psychological thing.
Like there's not a lot of cows in your calendar, but there's a lot of horse calendars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I grew up. So traditional Portuguese food. Like you'll walk up to a kitchen sink and it's a child grabbing a glass of water, and you'll see a big fucking tongue like right in the sink. And I remember my first experience. It was a cow tongue, right? So my mom would prepare cow tongue. It was a delicacy. My dad would love it, so she would prepare it, and she would always pass it off as beef, like actual beef. And we knew she was lying because we could see the taste buds when she would slice it up.
Yeah.
You could see it was really gross. And then, you ever see tripe? You know what tripe looks like?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know what it looks like, but I'm not sure what it is.
Let me tell you, like, if you saw roadkill on the side of the road, it would look 100 times better than tripe. I remember my first experience with tripe, once again, going to the kitchen sink, my mom's cleaning out tripe, just sitting there. First of all, the smell is terrible. So it's cow stomach.
Okay.
It is honeycomb, gelatinous looking, cartilage, yellow, grossest thing. Like, that would be like the one part I wouldn't even consider even trying to use.
And I've only ever seen pictures of it, but I don't.
The pictures don't do it justice, and even those are disgusting. So my dad, once again, loves it, and it's a lot of stuff I wouldn't touch, like a lot of stuff I wouldn't touch, and that was one of them. But what people will eat is, it becomes, I think it's just psychological for the most part, like, because, I grew up watching my dad and my sister and my brother, they would eat this stuff, and I would look at them like, you have other options, man. Like, this, like, we're not that poor, right? So across the board, pig's feet, pig ears, tripe, cow tongue. I'm like, mother of God, this is crazy. I'll take bread. Can I have bread? I'll just stick with bread. It is psychological in nature, but I like octopus, and I like certain things that my kids don't like. So it's just, once it's in your head, it's in your head.
We went through a Chinese, like the Chinese buffets and whatnot. Like sometimes they'll have the octopus, like the tentacles, but it's like a little group of them.
Yeah.
And Terrell had a bunch of them. He just started eating them. Burns like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I love octopus. My mom used to pack my lunch. We were pretty poor, so pack my lunch, and I just loved canned octopus. You could it's hard to find today, but you can still buy it. So, and it comes in an olive oil, and it was I liked it. It was delicious. So it's this big bun, and she would slap an open can of octopus in there, put it in, bag it. So I would sit. I remember I'd sit. It's like primary school, like 4th grade. I would sit at the cafeteria. Everyone's getting their lunch. Some of them bags, some of them trays. And here I come, and someone's like, "What's that smell?" Like, I'd open up my lunch, and it's oily bag, right? So the olive oil's run out, and I take out my sandwich, and there's tentacles shooting out of the thing, right? And like, all these kids were just like, no one ever sat with me ever again at lunch. It was the craziest thing ever. But I was like, okay, that's more for me. I loved it. But it's crazy what, once it's in your head that you like it, and if you don't, like, you'll never touch it. It's rare.
Yeah, like I don't eat any seafood.
That's insane.
I eat
really?
nothing that comes out of the water.
Why is that?
It just, I just don't like it, and it's like,
you don't like the taste, or
we went to my friend Taylor's house. Well, I was gonna say not that long ago, but I guess now it's a couple years ago, and it's the last time I've had any seafood, and he made shrimp, and he's like, just man, just give it a shot. I was like, all right, whatever.
Okay.
And I had one little shrimp that he had, because he blackened them, and I had one little shrimp, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good. The next shrimp I got was not a big shrimp, but like a normal size shrimp, and it tasted like seafood, and I was like, nope, I'm done, and it just turned my stomach.
Really? You just don't like the taste of seafood?
No, I don't like the smell of cooking fish. I don't mind. I will go fishing, and I deal with live fish and slime and all that. Doesn't bother me in the slightest. But the minute it's cooking and it's like the thought of it's now food, I can't do it. I'll eat gator tail. That's the closest I'll eat to something that comes out of the water. And even then, gator tail's got to be like beaten to death, breaded right, and fried, because gator tail will fight you back.
Well, anything blackened, you're not going to taste the thing, right? Once it's blackened, right?
Yeah, but the minute I got
interesting.
As soon as I got a taste of like, oh, that's just blackened shrimp.
I've never met anyone that just can't
do it.
Some people are allergic. I get it, but no fish, no nothing.
Nope. I'm picky.
You're missing out.
Which you would think is odd because I'm big, but I'm picky.
So you're more of a meat and potatoes. You like, what's your go-to food?
Well, I have a bunch, to be honest.
Okay.
But I when I say picky, like I'm weird on textures. I'm a texture guy a lot. So like I won't eat, like I love carrots.
This is gonna get interesting.
I don't eat cooked carrots. But I love, if you give me raw, I'll eat raw carrots all day. Like I like raw carrots, but I will not eat cooked carrots. I love peas, like sweet peas, and they're like squishy little boogers in your mouth. But I hate squash and zucchini because it feels like a booger in my mouth. Like it's I don't know why.
Keep going. This is fascinating.
That's my touch of the tism, man. I have a weird thing with food textures, but yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, so it's less.
So like pudding, tapioca.
I love pudding. Not a fan of tapioca.
What? Wait, you like pudding?
I love pudding. Pudding's just thick, sugary milk, man, with flavor.
All right, but peas squashed and.
But I like peas. I love sweet peas, but I do not like squash and.
But if they're pureed, you won't eat them.
I haven't gone that route. At that point, I think you're drinking it, right?
Well, it'd be like
then squash pudding, yeah. But pudding, pudding's sugar. It's hard to fuck up sugar.
Okay,
and even that, some flavors of pudding I don't like, but that becomes a flavor thing because there are flavors of stuff I don't
texture
like.
based.
But
interesting.
I'm a texture person.
That's crazy.
I don't know where it came from. I don't know why. Like I know where I'm pretty sure I know where the cooked carrot thing came from. Like
childhood trauma.
Yeah, it was a punishment from my aunt one time because I wouldn't eat, and it's just. It was bad. I remember violently throwing up because of the cooked carrots, and ever since then I won't.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Full of things to be anti. Get that cooked carrot away from me.
Yeah, well, the ass beating didn't work, so cooked carrots was the next thing.
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
Yeah.
Of all the torture in the world.
Yeah,
you should let the CIA know what this should be.
I
know you do waterboard thing, but have you tried cooked carrots?
Just force feed
that
them
may
cooked
flip
carrots.
people a lot faster.
It'll change the way you feel about it.
Jesus Christ! Wow. What texture is there in beans? There's no texture in beans. They're like marbles for all intents and purposes.
Not when they're in chili and they're cooked, man. They squish. You can put a bean in your mouth and squish it with your tongue to the roof of your mouth.
Oh my God.
I have to put them in the blender and I blend them all together and then put them in the chili.
Doesn't every food squish unless it's raw?
It's a weird squish, man. I can't explain it to you, John. I can't explain it.
All right, this took a turn.
But there's other soft stuff. Like I love pudding. I love ice cream. Although then again, I don't think anybody doesn't like ice cream.
Yeah.
But I don't like pistachio ice cream. To me, is one of the weirdest things ever. Like why would you make ice cream taste like a nut? Well,
there's a lot of flavors out there that.
But that one to me is the weird
question.
one.
I question. Yeah, but people like it, so they buy it. But I'm still stuck on the whole squishy thing.
Well, I mean, this coming from the guy who ate octopus sandwich as a kid in school.
I know, but for me for me it's pure taste, right? It's I don't think I never liked the food because of
felt weird.
The level of squishiness. Like
and sometimes it's not the squishy, it's just the feeling. Like it's the way that a cooked chili bean pops in my mouth. I don't like it. But with cooked sweet peas, they pop in your mouth, and I will squish. I'll take my tongue and squish them in the roof of my mouth.
Have you considered maybe like therapy, hypnosis, or something, just to see if there's something? There's got to be something in your childhood that's brought this out.
I don't know.
That is such a weird way to classify foods as to whether you. Wow, no kidding.
Yeah.
Of all the ways to describe food, I would
texture.
Never. Yeah. Well, not texture, but it's not. See, it's not as simple as texture because you have conflicting choices in texture, right? Because you said you like pudding, but you don't like pureed beans or peas, right? So like some of the textures are similar that you're describing. So then you go into a very micro version of texture, which is like the level of squishiness, which I'm sure there's a technical term for that. I just don't know.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know what that is, but
like sweet peas, I pop them in my mouth, and then the squishy on the inside of sweet pea doesn't bother me. But if a chili bean pops the same way in my mouth, there's too much squishy inside the bean because it's bigger, and all hell breaks loose in my brain.
That's crazy. All right. Okay. Cool. All right. I'll leave it at that. But definitely hypnosis. I would try hypnosis.
I don't know if I'm a candidate for that because hypnosis does work on certain people. Like if you're susceptible to it, I don't think my brain would work that way. Like I am a legit opposite of narcoleptic. Right? I can't sleep. Take
Insomniac.
There you go. Thank you. Now I'm on 10 milligrams of Ambien a night, and I still sleep 5 hours, 4 or 5 hours. But although when I first started taking Ambien, I was cooking. I was trying to set up full meals and had no idea it happened. I was doing weird shit. Like Brenda had to keep an eye on me.
Well, there's plenty of those stories. Yeah,
I was doing weird shit. But it does help because now at least now I do sleep. But for the longest time, I would sleep like an hour or two at most. Sometimes I'd be up for a couple of days. And I've been that way since I've been a baby. Like my dad told me, he's like, dude, when you were a baby, I would be 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You would still be just up in your crib, standing there, just cooing at the wall, just having a good time by yourself.
Really?
It's just always been that way. So I don't think hypnosis would work on me. I think that while they're telling me to think thoughts, I would have 87 other things going on in my head, and it would be random show tunes. It would be thoughts about like how beans feel in my mouth. It's just my brain. I don't think I'm candidate for that.
All right, well,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a good story out there for
Yeah.
for the squishiness level.
I'm
I'm dying to know.
not the only one, I'm sure. But
You probably are the only one the only one I've heard of.
production. Is there a thing? Is there a term for people that have an aversion to food based on texture?
No, not texture. Texture, I would agree. This is much deeper than texture. this is like its own subcategory. No.
Let me have
No.
this.
No, this is level of squishiness, if there's even a term for that.
Autism and food aversions.
Checks out. I told you that's my touch of the tism. Oh, that's funny.
I mean, yeah,
Shit.
there could, you could be.
Because I definitely have an aversion to some of that shit. Like it's like if I put cooked squash in my mouth, it just got to come out. Like I don't.
Maybe.
And I've tried. Because they say every 7 years, like your body chemistry changes, and there are certain things that I have found that I like now that I didn't like then, and stuff that I did like when I was younger that I don't like now. So that's why I tried the shrimp. You know, and I took that first one. I was like, oh shit, maybe I like seafood. I bit that second one. I was like, no, I'm wrong.
So you're like, maybe you're at the beginning of the rainbow. You know, just like right there on that spectrum.
Thanks.
Like
Well,
right on the edge.
I'll be
like
45 this year.
Little toe.
So, what's that? I'm almost on level 7, right? 7 times 7 is 40. No, 7 times 7 is 49.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm not quite there yet. I'm a little past level 40.
What math? What are you doing?
Every 7 years.
What about it?
If your body chemistry changes
Every 7? Is it every 7?
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Every 7 years, or if you undergo anesthesia.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Because I've had anesthesia a couple of times in the past few years. I never had surgery at all, and I've had 2 hernias, my shoulder, and my back.
So you're 86.
Yeah, and getting there. I feel like it. It's not the years, it's the mileage, one of those things.
So anesthesia forces your body to change?
It can change your body chemistry.
No shit.
I've had multiple surgeries, and every time I have a surgery, I'll go back and forth between whether I love peanut butter, hate peanut butter, or I'm in the middle.
That's cool, weird.
Kinda, yeah.
I didn't know that.
And I'm odd because I don't like beans.
No.
I think you're right. I need my own microphone.
Level of squishiness. I think you should have it, definitely.
Dude, there's a thing for that.
Level. What is it? What's it called?
ARFID.
Oh, there you
For
go.
what, the level of squishiness?
ARFID?
Avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. It can also be a part of autism, ADHD, and anxiety.
Well, ADHD and anxiety are definitely...
ARFID.
The ADHD is what causes all the rest of that for me. I don't have... Like my friend Brandon, he's the ADHD, but he is the kind that he uses it like a superpower. You know, like he will hyper focus on things and he does he sells and installs full water systems. Like he works for Westinghouse now. Like he just partnered with Westinghouse, and for a while he was doing Puronics. So like they're like the 2 biggest water systems, and he has turned his need to learn things into, like, if he comes to your house and gives you like the run of the mill test and whatnot, he knows everything. Like he's not there. You can't ask him a question and he won't know. And it's just because he's like, I got to learn this.
But since I've known you, you've been super creative all the time.
I'm creative, but I do so many
And
different
look at
things.
you set this up. You're always reinventing yourself, which is pretty cool. I'm sure a lot due to her, probably helping.
She helps.
Yeah.
She's kept me alive this long, that's for sure.
She's your muse, I'm sure. But well, you both have been like insanely creative since I've known you guys. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're both creatives, and that is one of the things that we do have in
photography
common.
side is pretty impressive.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I mean,
She makes things look good.
that's a superpower. So
Kinda.
the fact that you're now on the spectrum.
I mean, yeah, I guess I am. I should take one of those tests.
You should go for it. There's probably some grants you can get.
Not anymore.
Yeah, they shut all that shit down.
Oh shit!
Yeah, life preservers are off the boats now.
I didn't. I made the joke about being autism. I didn't know I was going to actually fall on the fucking spectrum while we were talking.
You're right in there now, man. That's good.
I had to learn me some shit today.
Get a new t-shirt. Look, I'm on this picture.
Just
own it. That's not a big
new
deal.
T-shirt. I like the way it feels.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. 100%.
So, last time I talked to you, talking about like downsizing a bit. If you run into...
Yeah, so at the beginning of this year, it was set up so years ago. So I had set up like the businesses I own and to offload them legally from me in terms of. Let me take a step back. So about 7-8 years ago, I realized that eventually I wanted to kind of scale back mentally, right? And I also knew that in many cases, and this goes for any business owner, and for the most part, you want to introduce fresh thoughts, fresh blood, etc. So and pass the baton over to someone else or other people that can take it from there. So I didn't want to ever put myself in a position where I would be stagnant, right? So I gave myself so many years, and I said at this point, then I will legally turn all control over to other people. And all those people were named. One person fell off the wagon, but I basically had to find an alternative. So I set it up. So at the beginning of this year, January 1st of 2025, legally, I would, although I still own everything, I have zero control of the businesses, which is what happened. So I basically don't run anything anymore, like legally. Like I can't. Like I set it up that way. And if I try, it can all be pulled away the way I set it up. So which is really good for me. It's been a little bit of a transition for me because I've always been involved in stuff. So now I'm more of a consultant to my businesses. They'll call me, use me as more of a consultant than anything else, and it's kind of allowed me to scale back tremendously and focus on the things I really enjoy. It's de-stressed my life quite a bit.
I could imagine.
It's increased stress for a lot of other people, but they enjoy it, and it's like I said, this fresh blood, etc. So my wife has taken one of the companies over, and my kids want nothing to do with it. But I found other people that are taking control of everything. Everything from the holding companies, rentals, and bars and stuff like that. So I set it up that way, which is great. So I've scaled, for all intents and purposes, at least in my head, I've scaled back quite a bit. It's allowed me to kind of, focus on the things that I enjoy doing, which is building things, designing things. I'm, obviously, as you know, I'm an engineer by trade, by schooling. So, I built myself a shop years ago, and I go in there and I make a lot of cool stuff. It's everything and anything, and that's what I enjoy focusing on, and managers will call me up, or someone will call me up and say, hey, what do you think about this? And I give them my thoughts, and they go off and do whatever the fuck they want, and it works, and they love it. They have the control, and they're in charge, and it's all good. I mean, my wife has threatened to divorce me a few times, but aside from,
you're around too much now.
but she's good. She's good now. She's good. Initially, it was a lot of stress for her. I was like, I don't know how you did this, right? But I think it's just like anything else. You get used to it. And after a few months of doing it, she's now enjoying it quite a bit. It's really good. But I just you have to know when you stop adding value to a certain degree. When you kind of step aside and let other people kind of take over, which is really, really good, and give them opportunities that they probably wouldn't have in any other situation. So
yeah, because when you told me, I hadn't really gotten that in depth of it with asking about it. I thought you were just kind of looking to, I don't want to say retire, because You don't strike me as a guy who's gonna like not do something, but kind of retire in the sense of like focus more, like you're saying, doing the things that you
I
wanted to
tried. I
do.
tried retiring. So I came off of pharmaceuticals at 40. Fortunately, I did well enough where I stopped. So I was like, I'm going to take a year off. That lasted about 6 months. I knew it was time to do something productive when I literally started to talk to myself. I found myself talking. My wife would go to work. She's an occupational therapist. She would go to work every day, and it'd just be me and the dogs, and I'd be running around. After about 2 or 3 months, I would say things out loud, and then I would just answer them. And I saw that was a problem. I started to go insane. A lot of people. So I tried the retirement thing, like just doing nothing. But you go mad. You need something. You need to be a productive member of society in some fashion. Otherwise, I don't think you last long as a human being. I think we all need that just to keep going.
Yeah, having a reason to put your pants on is a big deal.
It is. You need a purpose in life.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's to me. I'm pretty sure my dad said to me, he's like, "Dude, you gotta have a reason to put your pants on."
Yeah.
And it's nice to have a reason to not put your pants on.
Yeah.
But you have to have a reason to put your pants.
Having that flexibility is great.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But
like,
you need a purpose.
Having and having it's also having the life balance of taking time to do the things you like to do as opposed to getting something accomplished is a big deal. But hell, the last time I saw you when I came up and hung out with you at the bar just a couple of years ago, whenever it was, you had made harpoons for somebody.
Yeah. That's what I was doing.
I just got bored, made harpoons.
Yeah. It worked out really well, by the way. He caught a lot of fish.
Did he catch a lot of fish?
Yeah, he caught a lot of fish. Yeah, he would give me fish, and I didn't charge him anything. I made these CO2 powered harpoons. Loved it. So he would just pay me in fish. So I was like, I love fish. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And because hell, when we came to the first time, Brent and I, when we came to your house, you were in the garage working on a 3D printer. I don't remember what you're making. You were just making something on a 3D printer.
I enjoy it. Like I like the designing building type stuff, right? It's like artistic, engineering, a little bit of a mix. I enjoy that part. I've always done that.
Yeah.
Like if you need something built, I'd love to do it. Like anything, I typically like to do it once though. I'll build it once. And
that's what you said with the harpoons. It's cool. I did them, but I'm not doing it.
I will never do it again. That's my rule. I'll do it. It's a challenge, something I've never done before, but that's it. That's where you and I part ways. But unless you have another idea, I'm not doing it again.
Yeah. The sign that you made for me for that when we gave that guy the award for the Here We Grow award. I don't remember. I know you CNC'd it. Part of it was wood, part of it was metal. It looked really nice, and we gave it to James because it was his birthday, and like he had that hashtag that really. Because when we started doing music and reggae around here, there was no like reggae scene at all. The guys from when we did the Bayou Bash, because of Trees of Life were the band that headlined it. They introduced me to all of the bands everybody that I'm friends with, everybody that I've played.
Are they still a band?
With.
Trees of Life?
I mean, they have some of the members have
that's awesome.
Switched in and out here and there, but
that was a great band.
Pretty sure the guitar player, the bass player, and the lead singer.
That was a great band.
Yeah. And they have 2 albums out. I know they still play shows. They just played with my friend the other day. The guy that I interviewed.
That's awesome.
He was playing with them the other day.
That's awesome.
And James is, he was a genuinely like he didn't care about his band having like the main spot on the stage. He didn't care if he just wanted everybody to be able to do something together.
Yeah.
That's why we did that for him that day. And I talked to him the other day. And he video called me when I talked to him. And as I'm talking to him, like he's in his little spot where his like Zoom office is or whatever, and directly behind him is that big like how I have this. He has that Here We Grow award like in his office. Yeah, I was like, James, is that the thing we made for you? He goes, oh yeah, man, I love this thing. This is great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was cool. To this day, doing the Bayou Bashes, that and Derek Cruise's event for his mom when Derek died are the 2 things that I'm most proud of doing. The Bayou Bash meant a lot to me because I've been here my whole life. Like Gemini's first place I ever wrote a song at was in Gemini. Sat down and wrote a whole song by structure. Was in Gemini Springs.
That was a fun time.
It was a good time.
It's a fun time.
It was cool that we they went from trying to build on the bayou to where they had to move where that apartment complex is closer to the road now. So that was cool because if you fill in a bayou, the whole river would have suffered from that. So it was cool that we had a dent.
Well, running the Bulldog was interesting in the time, at the point in time where I met you guys contributed quite a bit to helping that business grow quite a bit. Introducing and partnering with you guys in terms of your creativity and what you brought to the table. That symbiotic relationship, I think, was very helpful, at least to us.
It was for me,
and it was one of the best partnerships and friendships that grew out of it that I've ever had in any of businesses, which is really good. It was just perfect timing. It all worked out. It was truly symbiotic. It was really nice.
Say we met you because the bar that we were going to do that Valentine's Day show
burned down. It was crazy.
Yeah,
right?
It was by happenstance. You're like, if you guys want to do that party, you guys, y'all could bring it over here, and we had a great time. The party was good. Then we did the pajama party. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
like we had, and for me, a lot of the people that came to the pajama party, a bunch of them are people that I know. And they're dudes that back in the day would beat the shit out of you for looking at them funny. And they're wearing like Snoopy pajamas.
Who's the guy that had a pink onesie?
That's
Who
one
the
of them.
hell was that?
Austin.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. That was
one of those guys, man.
The balls on that guy, man. He was my hero.
And what's funny is now he's such a good dad. He's such a nice guy.
That's nice.
But I have very vivid memories of him just tuning people up when we were younger. No. Do you remember? I'm sure you remember, but the day the guy was sleeping on the toilet, and remember the door.
We opened
locked,
the door up at 2 in the morning.
And he was in there butt naked.
He was
slumped
butt
over.
naked. I was like, that's
the one time that I was like, I was happy to have somebody that was there working for me. I was like, Wesley.
Didn't we have bouncers or something?
Had Wesley come get him. I was like, I'm not getting that guy.
I closed that door so fast. Oh, he's breathing. I did my job. I'm out. Oh my God, I remember that. That was scary.
Opening the door, and his pants were off. Like he got bottom half naked to shit in the bathroom.
He got hot pretty fast.
He was in there. Yeah, I mean the fact that he looked dead. He was so slumped over.
Yeah, I was waiting for some type of movement. Then I closed the door. I was like, okay, I'm out. Like you guys take care of that.
Because we put him in his car. Because I mean I don't know the guy, but I know the guy. You know what I mean? Like he's not like my friend, but I know the guy. You know. So we put him in his car and we took his keys and put him in the trunk. So in the morning, he called me. He's like, I'm in the parking lot, and I'm in my car. I don't know how I got here, and I don't know where my keys are.
Oh my God.
I was like, Paul, they're in your trunk. We put them in there so you didn't drive home in them. And he goes, that's probably smart. Thank you, man. So he got his keys out of the trunk and drove himself home. But he called me freaking out because he couldn't find. He didn't know how he got in his car, and he didn't know where his keys went.
Well, in the years of owning bars, I've seen, I would say, pretty much everything that you can see.
Just in the years of me working in them, I've seen a ton of it.
People do amazing things when there's alcohol involved.
Or hot sauce, because the day me and you were sitting at the bar when that kid and his dad, the kid did the hot sauce.
I do remember that.
And he went in to take a piss, and he didn't wash his hands.
That was cruelty, I thought.
I remember just hearing that kid in the bathroom go, oh, 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 oh. You could hear the panic and the pain.
Yeah, the dad egged him on. Right?
Oh, his dad egged him on. And I mean, he was, to his credit, he was like 6 wings into that 10 wings. And he's like, I just got to pee. I just got to pee. He's like, well, you can't, if you walk away, he's like, I don't care. I got to pee. And he did not wash his hands first. Yeah. And that was a mistake.
I get you.
Because, I mean, I didn't have those wings, but they didn't smell like they tasted good. They just smelled hot.
Well, by all accounts, truth be told, everyone that's had them has said the flavor is amazing, but there is a shitload of heat. So you don't lose the flavor. So that's a consolation prize, but the heat is insane.
Because a buddy of mine did a hot sauce show for a little while, and there's probably 100 bottles of hot sauce in my house right now, all different kinds, different levels of heat, and everything from stuff that is sweet and isn't hot at all to stuff that had one of my friends rolling in the grass. But that's just extract. That's not good. It's just pain. Like I put 2 drops on a spoon. Just 2 little.
Oh, yeah, that's too much for a spoon. Yeah.
Well, no, I when I say spoon, that was just to have something to take it with. But it was just 2 little dink, dink, like little droplets on it.
That's a lot.
Oh, it was bad. It was, and to his credit, I was like, you okay? He's like, don't stop filming. This is content. So I got down the grass and laid down with him and was taking the selfies. He's rolling around in the grass. We went through, like, we would get whole lines, like we did Melinda's. And then we have people sent us hot sauces. Like we did a whole line of fruit. This lady had fruit hot sauces.
Oh. It
sounds weird. And her suggestion, because it was 5 sauces, and it was like, one was like a blueberry, blueberry ginger. One was like an apricot habanero. There was a pineapple, ghost pepper. There was one that was just said hot sauce, and it still had. But the main ingredient, like the one ingredient that was through with all of them, was white, not golden raisins. They were no white grapes, but golden raisins.
Golden raisins. What are those?
They're raisins, but they're made with white grapes, so they're sweet. You know what I mean? But that was like the one. Like through ingredient with all of it, minus like the salt, sugar, vinegar, the typical sauce stuff, but for flavoring. So all of it had like a sweet to it, but the last one that said hot sauce, it was the only one that actually kind of tasted like hot sauce. Still sweet on the front end, but it actually tasted. The rest of them just kind of tasted like fruit, like jelly with a little bit of kick to it. But she's like, try them on ice cream, and I'm telling you what, it was amazing.
Really?
Oh my god! I took the first. I was like, this is gonna be so bad, and I put the hot sauce with like we put it on top of a little scoop of ice cream, put it in my mouth, and I was waiting to just have one of those moments. And I remember looking at Jane going, I'll be damned.
Really?
I was shocked. It was so good. Like good to the point we went back for seconds. Because it takes the heat off. Like it's still a little, you get a little like kick, but it's not hot. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
And you get the fruit flavor to it, which is really good. And then a friend of mine, he's a bass player for a heavy metal band around here. He also makes hot sauces, and he makes hot honey. And same thing. If you put that honey on some vanilla ice cream, it is amazing. But his is a little hotter because he has like actual like chili flakes and ghost pepper flakes. Like it's honey that has flakes of hot stuff in it.
I've never tried it.
It's good. I mean, if you want some, I'll have some.
Ice cream or
well, I just have the hot sauce.
No. Bacon and chocolate. That's probably the most exotic combination I've had.
Putting bacon and chocolate together?
Yeah. So there's a place, I think in DeLand. Customer brought it over one day. There's a candy shop in DeLand. They coat bacon with dark chocolate. So they brought some strips over. I was like, yeah. So I was just being nice. I took some of that. I ate some. I was like, wow, it was really, really good. So ended up eating 3 strips, and I went to go buy some. It's that salty sweet, I guess that
because it makes sense to me. You said it makes sense to me because I love bacon. Like in the morning, have pancakes and bacon. I douse my bacon with syrup. Yeah, so like you have bacon, but it's covered in sweet. It's not the same because syrup's not chocolate, but
it's close.
I could get where the blend would be good.
Your brain kind of it's your
and candied bacon's good, like bacon that's been baked with the brown sugar and the cracked pepper on it.
Probably the same stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty good. But I've never had it with chocolate. That would be a first.
Yeah, it's a place in a candy store. On Main Street.
I mean, for a while they were putting bacon in everything. They had bacon flavored ice cream. They had, bacon was like a rage for a couple of years. It was like a fad, and all food, everything had to have bacon in it.
Yeah, bacon. Most people love bacon.
I mean, that being said, bacon does kind of make everything better. But it was like pickles had a thing like that too, where it's like pickleback shots became like a big thing. Like everybody, like
we were getting 5-gallon drums of the pickle juice. We were going to Firehouse Subs, and so we would get all their pickle juice. They're like, "What the hell are you guys doing with this?" I was like, "Don't ask questions." We
don't ask questions.
They would just give us these 5-gallon drums of pickle juice, and they were like, "Okay, whatever." They would typically throw them away. And I was like, "Yeah." So people would order shots and do pickleback chasers. I don't know what was worse, the shot or the pickleback. It was really bad. But I'm not a drinker, so it all tasted really bad for me. But
I always found that to be entertaining whenever I would come up and we would be sitting at one of the bars talking, because you and me would be sitting down having a conversation. Everyone else around us has drinks. We both have a drink in front of us.
Yeah.
But neither one of us drink.
Yeah.
So we were like the only 2 people in the bar not the only 2 people, but then we were the 2 people that are in the bar. It's your bar, and I'm helping. I'm putting on the events at your bar. We're the only 2 not drinking. Yeah. Everybody else is drinking, having a good time.
Yeah, they've always found it weird that the owner doesn't drink, which I always thought.
Well, because it's always like what is it, Sprite and grenadine, right?
Soda water, yeah.
Soda water, okay. Because I knew it was something like that. Because I thought you were drinking vodka and like tonics.
Everyone thinks it's vodka.
That's what I thought at first, and then you're like, oh no, and I was like, oh cool.
Yeah.
But everybody always thinks I drink too, because being in bars and whatnot, so everybody always thinks like the Coke that I have is like a rum and Coke or something.
Yeah, I just don't like the alcohol, the taste.
Me neither.
It's just not a texture thing. It's more of a taste.
No, it's a taste thing. Yeah, it's a taste thing. I don't like getting drunk because it makes me an asshole. but I don't like drinking because I don't like the way it tastes. But like on my birthday, I like the obligatory drink. Like I will have a drink or two here and there.
Yeah.
They went to Puerto Rico not that long ago, and I got fucking drunk.
How'd you like Puerto Rico?
It was awesome.
I've never been.
It was amazing. Both times we went was amazing, and for two totally different reasons. The first time that we went, we were just winging it. You know what I mean? We went there on a whim because
just you two. No.
We went with
guide.
No, we went with the band. We went to go because we were shooting a music video for a song.
Was there someone that lived in Puerto Rico?
Oh no.
Oh, so no one was familiar with Puerto Rico.
None of us spoke Spanish. We just showed up.
Okay. Well, yeah.
And we went because we wanted to find a spot that was just find a good waterfall. Like we wanted to, for some reason, Scott had it in his mind to be in a waterfall, but he wanted to leave
to take some pictures
for a video. But yeah,
a video.
So we went to Puerto Rico. And you don't need a passport to go. We just got passports. So like we need a passport to go. It's pretty cheap to go. So we just went with this half-ass plan of what we were gonna do, and then the first day, we went. The first day was horrible. Like the hotel because I booked all of our hotels, and I booked it on booking.com or whatever.
Okay.
So you're looking at the pictures and the ratings, but I mean the door was falling off the hinge. None of the ACs worked. It was
really?
It was the worst experience. And it was one night.
And the ratings didn't call that out.
No, to the point to where when we all got together for breakfast in the morning, the first thing we did was start trying to find an Airbnb.
No kidding.
Yep. And then we got this Airbnb. The house was beautiful. It was in this cool little spot. So in the middle of the night, not the middle of the night, but like 10 o'clock at night after we had drinks, Scott cooked dinner at home for everybody. Like we all pitched in. Had dinner. We were drunk, like 4 or 5 drinks in, decided we're going to go for a walk. We're wandering through Puerto Rico, and there was a couple of old guys playing dominoes on the front porch, and the one guy was like, "Hey, don't go that way." We were going that way. Scott's got a big mohawk. He's loud and peacocky as shit. Our buddy Will is a little half pint dude that has little man syndrome. They're both being loud. Neither one of them care, or that they're, like your guests here. Like at the time, neither one of them cared. And I was drunk. I didn't care except for when the guy was like, "Hey, don't go that way." I was like, "You know what, man? Thank you, sir." Whoop!
You turned around
the other way. Yeah. So we had no problems. We had a really good time.
Okay.
The second time we went back, the house we got was amazing. It was on the side of a mountain with an infinity pool that looked out over the bay with like this cool lagoon. It was all the inside, like all of where like the kitchen where it would be like marble, it's all made out of jadeite. No, the whole place was all tile. It was the shit. It was just such a nice, like to the point my dad was in the hospital, because he'd gone into the hospital, and I called my dad because he knew we were going. So I video called him to call my dad. I'm giving him a tour of this place, and my dad's having me stop to show him like the materials they've used, because my dad's he buys homes, and he's the one that does all the stuff. So he was like more into the craftsmanship of this house.
Yeah.
He didn't give a shit where we were.
That's so cool.
He was like, wait, go back to that. So I was showing him all the stuff. We rented a Jeep, and we were up into the rainforest because we were trying to find the same waterfall that we went to last time, and we found it, but it was way bigger. Because we went the first time, the main waterfall, there was no water coming down because there hadn't been rain in a long time. But we found these locals that we met took us with them to go to this other like waterfall area where there's a couple of tidal pools and a good waterfall. And we climbed way down. Like we had this whole adventure with all these local people. And then the second time, there was no rocks. Like the waterfall we found the spot, but everywhere it was just water. There was no way. You'd die. You would be dead if you tried to go down there, because it had been raining a lot. But while we were up there, it started to rain again. So I pulled the Jeep over on the side of this mountain road and just got out in the rainforest to be rained on. And if you're going to get rained on, do it in Florida all the time.
Yeah.
Why not do it in the rainforest on the top of a mountain?
Yeah.
And you could look down the mountain, still sunny. Like there's no rain down, because you're in a whole different area up there. Like the plants, it look like something out of Jurassic Park. They're huge. Like I got a picture of Scott. He's this big in the front of this elephant ear that takes up the rest of the picture. It's massive. We have his wife does like geocaching.
I know what that is.
Yeah, so like we went on this like little mini hike trying to find treasures. So it was its own. And then we went to actual old San Juan that time. So we walked like the streets with the painted houses, and so we had a little more culture the second time around. Was the first time was just like this adventure that turned into.
I always heard it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
We never had a chance to go yet.
It's like a Caribbean New Orleans. That's a good way It's
Oh,
it's like in this beautiful state of decay.
I love New Orleans.
Well, because like New Orleans is beautifully gross.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everywhere, like everything looks like the world is about to take it back over, but at the same time, it's gorgeous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The same thing in Puerto Rico. Like the houses look like the mountain is going to eat them again. Like there's, like some of the bars, like where the concrete is, like there's rods. It's just, it's beaten down, but the people are all having a good time. It's beautiful, but they have no like sanitation department. So when you go to the beach, there's a mountain of beach, or mountain of garbage. All of the garbage that's around, like where the garbage cans are, is just overflowing because they don't have sanitation. You go 3 feet past that, beautiful.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it's this weird mixture of like it sucks, but it's beautiful. So it was really cool. We went to dinner the second night, and the waiter was trying to upsell us on drinks. Everybody else is drinking. He's trying to get me to get a drink, and I was like, nah, I'm driving. And that was like, because normally instead of saying, oh, I don't drink, so he's like, oh, you really? You know what I mean? I just say, yeah, I'm driving, and people will leave you that. His instant response was zero hesitation. He goes, you're in Puerto Rico, dude. We don't care.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and as we left, there's people riding horses to go to the bar. There's people driving the wrong way down the sidewalk. And I was like, oh, yeah, they really don't care.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, the traffic stops and signs are a suggestion. Like you get in where you fit in. Like the first day when we got there, we got this big transit van because we had a whole band with us. You know what I mean? So we got this big transit van, and I'm really, because I drive every day now, so I'm like really defensively trying to drive this transit van, and I can't go anywhere because nobody's gonna let you in. You know what I mean? You guys got to get in where you fit in. So I started driving. By the second day, I was like, I'm a Puerto Rican. I was just cutting in. I was getting around. We had a really good time. The second time wasn't like that because we were just in the Jeep and I didn't care. Then I knew I was prepared for it.
That's hilarious. Oh
yeah,
my God.
it was.
We got to go. I definitely have to go with my wife. Yeah, I definitely have to go.
We went to the first time. I don't remember the name because we went to San Juan, but I don't remember the name of the little outlets. Do you remember the name of the Carolina? Okay, the first town we went to was Carolina, and it's like right outside of San Juan, so it's like in the city area, like the more developed spot. And then we went to Loquillo the second time, which is where we were up at like on the top of the mountain and whatnot. And it's it's more like a town, like there was this like whole stretch of kiosks. They call it kiosco, and it's this whole like half-mile stretch, and it's everything from bars to restaurants to knick-knack shops to clothes, and they're all walk-through shops. So you pulling on the road on this side, you walk straight through to the beach on the other side.
How's the cost of living there?
I mean, I didn't live there, but for being there, it wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad?
No, not at all.
Comparable to the mainland?
Yeah, pretty much. One thing, it's like if you go to the grocery store, they don't really have beef. The beef, if you want to get beef, is expensive. They have strip beef, like they have strip steaks and stuff. But if you want like ribeye or whatever, because it's a small, small island, they don't really have a lot of cows. They have ground beef. They have more processed stuff because it's easier to ship that in. There's a lot of chicken. I mean, you get chicken everywhere. I mean, there's apartment complexes that the trees in the parking lot of the apartment complex have 2 or 3 horses tied to the tree. That's where and you can tell that's where those horses live. Those people will get out. Those horses are their cars. Like we literally saw a guy leave the bar, hop on a horse, and ride the horse home.
That's kind of cool.
It was kind of cool. Yeah, it was dope. Like I'm not knocking that at all. I was like, way to go. How you get a DUI? Then the horse is responsible. Like, you're just at that point, you're just kind of hanging on. You could pass out, the horse will take you home.
I think you can get a DUI on a horse in mainland, right?
Like, yeah, I don't know, but I would assume so.
I remember seeing, I think, one of those cop videos. That Bad Boys.
Okay, yeah.
And there was a guy in New Mexico that got pulled over. He was drunk on a horse, and he ended up getting a DUI.
I mean, I believe it. My favorite one of those is the guy that's in the scissor lift. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that.
There's a guy driving a scissor lift home. Yeah, sitting on a 12-pack.
That is
like he
insane.
he took the scissor lift to the gas station, got a 12-pack. He's using it as a seat as he's driving the scissor lift home.
That is the crazy.
The cop pulls him over, and he knows the guy by name. And as the cops, like he's walking up to start talking to him, he's wee. He's like, you ain't gonna put wee. It's like he's messing with the cop.
You gotta love beer to do.
Oh God, it's some small town like North Dakota. You know what I mean? So like the cop's like, come on, Billy. Billy, just come down, Billy.
All right.
That's my favorite cop has pulled somebody over video ever.
Not to change the topic or get into politics necessarily, but I have to ask you, what are your thoughts about Elon Musk and what he's doing?
Not a fan. If it's elimination of waste and whatnot, I think everybody is for that. To overinflate it by adding zeros behind what you have saved, and by doing it by cutting thousands of jobs from veterans, like my dad's, the VA, it's fucked a lot of people. All the national parks, there's a lot of people that he fucked in that process. He didn't just cut waste, he cut people. So that really bothers me.
How do you think they made that decision? We need someone that's going to go into these agencies and look for fraud, waste, and abuse. Who can we get? Oh, yeah, the world's richest man. That's who we get to start firing people. I mean, just the optics alone. Don't you think that's just insane?
Yeah.
As a person that's considered smart, I mean, would you take that job? Like saying, I'm about to walk in there, at least openly, would you take that job? I mean,
No.
I can see as a consultant or bring me the data and I'll tell you where to look or whatever,
Yeah,
but
no.
I'll use my super brain. But in general, just optically, I'm about to fire a shitload of people. You know that's coming. And let's get the world's richest man. At the time, he's no longer the world's richest man, but...
Then the going out there with the chainsaw that the guy from Venezuela gifted him and celebrating cutting all of these jobs.
Right. So you're celebrating, you're hurting people's lives, even if it is waste, right? At the end of the day, you're affecting families, right? People don't know how they're gonna pay their mortgages. I'm sure there's thousands of people out there today. But we'll get the world's richest man to do that. It just doesn't make any fucking sense.
No.
Who made that decision? It's so stupid. It just right off the get-go, that was a crazy decision.
Yeah, that one didn't. And somebody was the other day, I saw they were having an online argument about how the left now hates Teslas, and I was like, no, you got that wrong. They don't. It's not the cars. The cars are the T in the Boston Tea Party.
It's the Nazi salute.
Well, that's what did it. But the cars, in my mind, the cars are comparable to what the Tea in the Boston Tea Party.
Yeah, exactly.
Americans didn't not like the
100%.
tea.
Yeah, exactly.
They hated the fucking tax.
Exactly.
And the rule from
100%.
the British.
It's what it represents.
Yeah,
exactly.
so that's why they're not.
Yeah,
we're not going to
yeah.
space to
Yeah,
take down Starlink satellites, and we're not stopping the rockets.
Yeah.
So the next thing to do.
Yeah.
And when I say we, I just mean in that mindset.
Yeah.
So somebody say, well, you guys, they hate the cars. No, because the end was make it make sense.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, just for devil's avocado to make it make sense. This is what I think is why they're. And I explained that to it, and I just got bombarded with you liberal pussy. But I was like, I made it make sense. It's not my fault. You're mad.
It's interesting. It's all good until it affects you, right? And that's where a lot of people kick in, right? So you get to a point where, oh, he's doing great things. He's finding a shitload of fraud. He's finding a shitload of waste. Blah, blah, blah. And I think he probably is finding waste. I think you could argue any program, both sides, the value of that program, whether it's worth carrying. And you can call it waste if you don't like it, and call it not waste, right? And money well spent if you like it. So there's always, both sides of the equation. But the fraud thing, the whole, they found fraud. I haven't heard anything that spells out fraud or any proof of fraud, etc. But I'm sure it does happen. So all in all, it's great. But taking these broad brush approaches and not going in more surgically, it's affecting a lot of people. And to celebrate that, you now have killed thousands of jobs and affected many families doesn't make any sense. So all these people that are, pro what Elon is doing and how he's doing it, more importantly, that's great. But it's like a lot of these MAGA hardcore individuals, they're pro-Trump. Trump can kill a bunch of babies in the street. They'll still vote for Trump. I just lost my job. Fuck Trump, right? That's all it took for it to affect you. Interesting. Yeah. That's the kind of person sometimes that probably needs to feel a little bit of pain to realize that real people are being affected by these decisions, and how you do it is just as important as what you're doing. And so you get these people that push back and call you liberal pussy or whatever they called you. But at the end of the day, the reality of it is they haven't really felt the pain in terms of these impacts. And yeah, listen, anytime we're adding anything to our deficit. I mean, 36 trillion is nothing. This 37 or whatever it is nothing to sneeze at. There's a problem, right?
That's a number most people can't literally wrap their brains around.
No,
We know it's a big number.
It's an insane number, and it's a massive problem. But and we have to do something about it. And if it means cutting back government, that's great. But I think it should have been something that would have been done a little bit more surgically and frankly, with a lot less celebration across the board. However, when you really think about it, what they're looking to pass in terms of this budget, and I'm all for cutting back on everything, and I'm even for raising taxes. I mean, at the end of the day, we have to bring this deficit down. I mean, as a country, we all own it. We've allowed it to happen. We've all sucked from the teat of whatever that brought us. But at the end of the day, we all own it. So someone in government has to take it down. So I commend the fact that they're going hardcore and looking at every area they can to cut back. However, what contradicts that is the fact that they're looking to actually add to the deficit. So if you actually look at their proposed budget, is they're going to not only cut back, but somehow they're going to manage to add a little over $1 trillion to the budget just this year alone. That's insane. Like, how can you be doing all this and then say you're going to spend more, $1 trillion even more than you normally would spend? So that doesn't make any sense unless you're about to take all those savings, hence the rush job, and translate that into tax savings for people that have a shitload of money, which is exactly, anyway, and if anyone cares to look at that, they can go and read the proposal. It's all spelled out in terms of what's there, but people don't want to educate themselves. They want to believe what they want to believe. But they will eventually believe once it's painful, right? And once it's painful, somehow they feel the pain, they lose their job, or they get laid off because, somehow there's a connection back to some cutbacks, or the economy contracts.
401k takes a hit.
401k takes a hit. That's when they start getting pissed off, when it affects them. But doing the right thing sometimes is a rare commodity, to see that. To someone just do the right thing for the sake of doing the right thing. So I don't know. I think these people I'm all for what Elon is doing and his group is doing. How we're doing it, absolutely not. But don't go in there with the pretense of saving a shitload of money and then giving it all back to people that have a shitload of money. That doesn't make any sense. Why introduce all these
saving it to people? You're
you're not. No one's going to come out of this. Unless you're like a billionaire or a millionaire, you're not going to come out on top on this. I guarantee you. You're just not. And if you don't have to believe anyone. You just wait. Just wait to see what happens. Right? Wait till June, July, August, whatever it takes, and watch what happens. At this rate, I think a lot of people are going to feel a lot of pain. And unfortunately, it's going to be those that can afford to feel the pain the least. Yeah. And that's the problem.
Well, a lot of those people that can afford to feel the pain the least are the ones that voted, because they're already feeling financial hardships from the things that we've, from dealing with COVID, recamps, things like that. So we've already, they're already, that's like understood why people voted, because they're upset. Because the Democrats never said we have a problem. They never said our people are suffering, we're going to try to fix this. They never addressed that. They just kept saying the economy's great, the economy's great, the economy's great. And the economy, as far as stock market, whatever, might have been, but the people were having a hard time. We're suffering. Like your citizens are suffering. And you're just telling people that it's good, as opposed to saying, we have a problem. And like, if Kamala Harris would have said that I'm going to attack this problem as well, like the way that the way that the Republicans did, I think she'd have had a better chance. And they also just installed her. There was no primary, and that's not how you're supposed to do it even though she was the vice president. Like, if you're the president, you're the automatic candidate because you're the acting president. But if you're the vice president, unless the president's dead, you have to be elected. And we got no primary.
It was a weird situation.
Yeah, they got no primary. I think that, and Trump doing the rounds with the podcasts and connecting with a younger audience, like being willing to go talk to the kids like Aiden Ross and these TikTok and Twitch streamers that have 100 million followers and big views, and talk to them and tell them that he had a financial plan. I think that was a big thing of what.
And let's be very candid here. I mean, Trump made some outrageous claims and promises that people really wanted to believe were going to come true. I mean, he promised a lot of stuff that was going to happen in their favor immediately. So you either choose to believe or you don't choose to believe. A lot of people chose to believe, like, hey, all this inflation is going to go away for the most part. Gas prices are going to come down, price of eggs, all that stuff, right? Everything's going to be so much better, or it's going to start to be so much better under Trump. So a lot of people said, yeah, I definitely do. And like to your point, a lot of people felt the financial pressure, so they had no choice but to believe, right? It's almost like a religion at that point. You're believing, and the person is put into power, and you just hope it's going to work out across the board. I mean, trend to date says, this is an interesting strategy. I don't know how we're going to get from here to there, but I'm hopeful that he's successful in turning the country to where most people need it to be, and that's helping them and getting the economy elevated again and prices come down and all that good stuff. In the direction it's going in right now, I mean, there's a lot of question marks. Like, is it really? I mean, how you get from here to there is going to be quite interesting. I don't know how he's going to pull it off, but I hope he's successful. I really do. And I feel more for the people that are living paycheck to paycheck, and are struggling, every week. And that's really tough. They need help now, and at this rate, I don't think they're going to see help for a long time.
Yeah, me neither. Here's a question. Since you're naturalized and like born outside of here, what are your thoughts on not like the deportation stuff, but the gold card, green card, being able to buy citizenship for $5 million?
I have mixed feelings about that, to be perfectly honest. If you go back to how this country was founded and why it was founded, and the mantra, bring me you're tired, you're hungry, you're poor. It doesn't go beyond that. It doesn't say, give me your riches. It's the exact opposite. People that really need it. So here's a country where you can have opportunities that you probably don't have, right? And along the lines, as a government, right? To think of it as a business, you want to hire the smartest, most qualified people possible. So you want people to come into the country that bring a skill set. Like a lot of countries, like Canada, if you try to immigrate into Canada, it's not like the US where you can kind of just show up and, right, you literally have to prove that you either are going to have a job or have so much money in the bank. I mean, there's some qualifications. Otherwise,
you have to prove what you're going to add to
you ain't coming in, right? Yeah. So, there's bars you have to overcome. In the U.S., it's a little bit more open, right? So at the end of the day, so I have mixed feelings about that. It definitely disenfranchises most of the world that can't afford $5 million for a card. That's an insane amount of money for anybody. On the flip side, if you actually were to tax the rich appropriately, what I would consider appropriate, and a more balanced approach to taxing them, it could benefit the country. But as long as it doesn't disenfranchise those that can't afford it, in other words, two streams, if you will. Yeah. Sure, you can do this, but you still want to open up the country to individuals the same way you've opened it up back during the Ellis Island days, right? You want to give people, you still want to make America the place to come to when your country is not working for you and you want opportunities. And a lot of our creativity, innovations have come from those people across the board, and we're all immigrants,
yeah,
we're all immigrants, just several layers removed in some cases, but we tend to forget that. A lot of us tend to forget that sometimes. We're here and we do a na. You can't come here. What country are you from? Thank you very much. It's crazy, right? It's insane. So I know I've mixed feelings about that. As long as to me, it's like it could, if we do it right, it could benefit the United States, but not at the cost of everyone else. If it doesn't disenfranchise the regular Joe, if you will, the regular family trying to come, it doesn't brush them aside. Sure. I think there's maybe an opportunity for that adds value. But if it starts to disenfranchise the average individual around the world, no, absolutely not. I'm totally against it.
The part that made me concerned is like, all you have to do is be rich to be, not rich, but you have to have $5 million to be able to be a citizen here. you can be a wealthy oligarch from Russia. You can be a wealthy person from the Middle East. You know, like you could be somebody who has real ill intentions, and you can all of a sudden be a citizen here, you know, because you've paid for it. But we only want to let the best people in, so they've deported PhD students, all kinds of other shit. But you can buy your way in if you have money. Like that part, like you're like disenfranchising regular people. That bothers because like, you know, the PhD student, the girl that she just got basically abducted from in front of her house after writing an opinion piece a year ago, and I read the piece. It's not that bad, you know. It's not. It's basically just asking to have a cease. You know, like why is this happening? You know, and from a perspective, a person who's from there, makes perfect sense to write that thing. It wasn't like, it wasn't damning anybody. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like, you know. Then they just picked her up for
she had a student visa, right?
Yes, yeah. And they just revoked her visa because she wrote this piece. That girl's a PhD student. She's here advancing. So I think I want to say she's for medical student, but she's here for PhD student. She's getting, you know, her education here, plans on bringing her skills here, you know. So we took somebody who is a benefit to our society that they don't see as a benefit because she has an opposing opinion on something that's happening in another country overseas.
No, I think the reason is what a lot of people are against, why she's being deported or trying to be deported. I guess a judge put a stay on that. But I think once you start to utilize the power of government to manipulate the press, or start to add different pressures to citizens, even if you just do have a student visa, at the end of the day, you still fall under the protections of our laws. And I think due process is still warranted. So if there's a legitimate reason to revoke a visa, sure. But for the purposes of free speech, you don't like what she wrote or what someone says, that could be problematic. Now, I don't want to pretend to be an attorney that understands all the laws around that, but I think at the minimum due process was warranted, meaning go in front of some type of judge or a magistrate to assess whether that's even legal to do. I'm not sure if it is. I'm not sure if someone can revoke a visa on a whim, especially for the purposes of you don't like what they said.
I don't know if it's legal or not. I don't know. It's just the contrast of like, well, if that girl had money, could she buy the visa and then say what she wants to say? Because now she has. Well,
she may have money.
But I mean, if she bought the gold card. Now she's a gold card citizen. She's not here on a visa.
Yeah.
Can then she say what she wants? You know, like so that
I think how you implement, like I said, I think there's maybe some value in introducing some type of gold card system. I think if it's done right, and meaning obviously still a screening process,
like heavy vetting.
Yeah, you don't want to bring in people that are into trafficking, you know, individuals and children. I mean, you have to be. I still think you need to prove you're not a piece of shit human being. First of all, I think so. There has to be some vetting. Exactly. I think from that standpoint, and I think if you can guarantee that gold card program is not going to disenfranchise and bump any other family or individual that ultimately wants to get citizenship in the United States or immigrate to the United States, I think there's potential value in that, but not as a get out of jail free card or get into the U.S. free card. You could do insane anything you want, as opposed to someone that can't. I don't believe in that. As long as they follow the same rules as everybody else, it's just, it's unfortunate, but there is some value to the United States. I mean, at the end of the day, the United States, or any country for that matter, especially a lot of other countries, they want to bring in certain individuals and make them citizens that can add value. You know, scientists, doctors, etc. Right? Yeah. So a lot of them have a hard rule. It's like, if you can't add value, sorry.
Yeah.
You know?
And I understand the thought process of like, you know, if you can afford a $5 million ticket to become an American citizen, you have to be some form of successful, probably, you know, at least the thought process, you know, you could come from money, you know, your parents could, whatever. But the thought process of being you're successful enough to have amassed enough money to pay $5 million just to move here and become a citizen, you have to intrinsically bring some kind of value with you.
But I think we need to introduce, if we get a gold card system, we need to have better tax laws that actually impose a fair tax on individuals with serious money, especially billionaires, right? So I think the tax system probably needs to be rebalanced to that point. Otherwise, if you let someone in and they buy a gold card for $5 million, and let's say they're worth $10 billion across the board, and they don't pay a dime, right? They're getting something for nothing, right? They get the protection of the United States, and they never pay taxes. That doesn't make any sense. I think
we're going to add a sales tax to the gold card cost.
Well, the $5 million, you can argue the $5 million is in, but that's nothing across the board.
I was just kidding.
You probably should.
We need an extra 7%, please.
I think there's potential value in that, but it's got to be done the right way and not used as like I said, a get out of jail free card where it screws a lot of other people. I think there's some value to that. The United States gives special preferential and fast track preference to many people for citizenship. So there's already a fast track program for citizenship today and green card status today based on the perceived value or recognized value you bring. Like if you own a massive company, you're going to bring a lot of jobs. There is a fast track program already in play.
It's not like historically we haven't given citizenship to bad people because they've been like Werner von Braun is a shining example.
That's a great example, actually.
I mean, the guy is a certified Nazi scientist that we
used him. We used him to our advantage,
and
right?
we won the space race.
So
there
are programs out there already that have been in place for a long time.
So it's not like they won't let bad people in if they can be a help to what we need to get done. So I'm a firm believer that any system put in place by man will be abused by man. The question is how badly will it be abused? And most of it's not a lot. There'll always be people.
I think if we're selective, and introduce some vetting, I think there's value potentially. But I'd be worried about the average Joe trying to get into the United States at the expense of, they can't afford it.
For what it's worth, it's refreshing to have this conversation with you because, you're not a billionaire by any means, but you're fairly well off, my friend. Of anybody I know, you're definitely the most well off. And you have a very reasonable approach to the way you talk about it. And you're also one of the most charitable people I know. The giving a home to someone that needed a home, I know you've done that quietly. So something that you've done on your own. It's not something that that you advertise or whatever. I've witnessed it firsthand. Like I know that you like to help people, so it's you're a good example of people that should have money. Because you do good things.
Been very lucky. I've learned a lot from a lot of people, and I do what I can.
You've taught a lot of people. You've taught me a lot. Yeah. Like I tell people all the time, you're kind of a mentor to me. Like you've taught me, dude. You taught me a lot. Like I learned a lot of lessons from you, and some of it little shit, some of it just from watching you, some of it that you have instructed me, some of it just from being around you. Like if you surround yourself with people that are just doing the same thing as you, you'll always kind of be stagnant.
That's true.
And I have my core group of morons, that are family. I love my family. Like Terrell, is a good example.
How is he doing, by
He's
the
a fireman.
way? Yeah. It's a fireman?
He's a fireman now.
Tell him I said hello.